Hey, have you heard about that great country out west?
You mean that big economic power with all the social problems like sexism and racism, with the obese population and the gas-guzzling pedestrians that are ruining the Earth's atmosphere?
Oh, no, that's the United States. I'm talking about the country up north, the wonderful land of Canada.
Canada. Sounds majestic. Tell me about it.
All right, let's start from the beginning. Canada was inhabited by Paleo-Indians. The Norse had inhabited Greenland and Iceland during the Viking Age, which lasted from 800 AD to 1066 AD. In 1497, King Henry VII sent a young explorer, John Cabot, to look for the land they were told about, which is now called Canada. He was the first known European to land on Canada since the Viking Age.
Around the 1860s, the separate colonies of British North America were considering whether or not they should join together and create one huge confederation, which would be Canada.
George Brown was a politician at the time who was helping to bring about the Confederation. Canada was one of the few colonies that won its independence faster and easier than any other British colonies from Africa or Asia. The language and culture aspects they inherited from Britain, as well as the race of its peoples, helps play a part in the winning of their independence.
Britain believed that if a country's population was mainly white, they could govern themselves without help. In 1791, Britain passed the Constitutional Act of 1791 to help get rid of ethnic tensions. This act created two provinces.
One province was English-speaking Upper Canada, now Ontario. The other was the French-speaking Lower Canada, which is now Quebec. Lower Canada was influenced by the French customs, and the Catholic Church was legally protected there.
In Upper Canada, English traditions and laws were incorporated. During the early 1800s, the population grew restless in both colonies. The people in Upper Canada disliked the power held by the small group of elites who controlled the government.
Lower Canada had a very similar problem to Upper Canada. In 1837, a rebellion broke out in both provinces. Louis-Joseph Papineau was head of the French-Canadian Reform Party, which led the rebellion in Lower Canada.
William Lyon Mackenzie helped lead the revolt in Upper Canada. The rebellion's main focus was put down the villains who oppress and enslave our country's people. The British, learning from the American Revolution, decided to quickly attempt to put down the disorder by sending an able politician, Lord Durham, to compile a report on the causes of the unrest in the provinces.
In 1840, Parliament added on some of Durham's recommendations by passing the Act of the Union. This act joined both Upper and Lower Canada into one province. It also gave them an elected legislature, which made the decisions on many domestic policies.
Britain, however, still controlled foreign policy and trade.
In the mid-1800s, thousands of English, Scottish, and Irish people immigrated to Canada. Two Canadians, John Macdonald and George Ete Cartier, urged unification of Britain's North American policies. These colonies included Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and British Columbia, as well as the Upper and Lower Canadas. They believed that unification would strengthen the new nation against American ambitions and help its economic development. Britain agreed by passing the British North American Act of 1867. This act created the Dominion of Canada, which is a self-governing nation as of now.
Canada had its own parliament modeled on that of Britain. By 1900, Canada also gained some control over its own foreign trade. Canada still maintains close ties with Britain today.
In the 1800s, Canada expanded westward. In 1885, the Canadian Pacific Railway opened up, linking eastern and western Canada. Settlers followed the railroad path, and the railroad moved people and products, such as timber and manufactured goods, across the nation. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, more immigrants came into Canada from Germany, Italy, Poland, Russia, Ukraine, China, and Japan. This enriched Canada's economy and culture. Westward expansion destroyed the way of life for Native Americans, however.
Most natives were forced to sign treaties giving up their lands. In central Canada, Riel led a revolt of the Métis. people of mixed Native American and French Canadian descent. In 1869 and 1885, many Métis were French-speaking Catholics who believed that the government was trying to take their land and destroy their language and religion. The government troops put down both uprisings, and Riel was killed in 1885.
By 1914, Canada now had a flourishing new culture. However, French-speaking Canadians were determined to keep their own culture and language alive in the new country, which created strife when trying to determine the Canadian culture as a whole. Also, cultural and economic influence of the United States threatened to dominate Canada. Both of these issues continue to affect Canada today. Canada is now a great country that is growing more powerful as time goes by. The culture of Canada is flourishing and is now a place where many people of different backgrounds and ideas call